Hello, hello, hello. So, how's it going, peeps? Here we have another replay sent in by the one and only Crewfinity versus Vapor. Just Vapor. We don't know what sort of vapor this is. Water vapor. Some other vapor. Noxious vapor. Could be any sort of vapor. I don't know. What I do know is this is a replay of a 1v1 sent by Crewfinity. Series of free replays that he sent. And yeah, so we're going to have a look. Game is starting off pretty standard actually. We've got the typical 2 IST, 1 strike squad versus 2 scouts and 1 tac. And we've got the big tanky melee heroes from each faction as well. So it's very close to a mirror. Now, how does this differ from a mirror? The tacs do a lot more damage at range because of crack and bolts and just by default. On the other hand, though, the brother captain is just so much more useful than the force commander. His ability, we have the hammer, and just his higher health, his better default range damage. It's making him a lot more handy. Also, the strike squads will dominate the attacks in the in melee, and the IST will dominate the scouts at ranged. However, the IST are slower than scouts, so they're not as good at counting melee heroes. But IST have more HP, but they have less HP per model, so they bleed models faster. Overall, though, I'm pretty sure this favours Grey Knights in the early game. And as you can see, that's pretty much just what's happening. IST down bottom have forced off scouts. In the centre, the tactical marines were forced off by the strike squad and the IST combining their fire, and the force commander doesn't really have the durability to stand up to the rest of the squads. Now these scouts have been up top uncontested, just tried to cap up 2 points, but they're forced off. Now, we see Crewfinity has dropped 2 generators immediately, so he's actually delayed his third squad quite a lot, because as you can see he's got 30 power now, so if he wanted a purgation he could get them out right now if he hadn't dropped the 2 generators. But he didn't do that, he decided to go with the faster generators, and we'll see whether that bites him in the ass or not, because he's going to have less map presence now, and he has got most of the map because IST are better than the scouts. But there's a Devastator coming out, and that comes out quite fast because Vapor only put down 1 gen. And he put it down just after starting to buy the Devastators. Plus Devastators only cost 250 rec, whereas Purgation costs 300. So the devs come out really early. And they're really handy because they counter the IST, which before dominate because they're just way better than your scouts. So, oh wow, that was a really unfortunate tac model loss right there. But yeah, the Devastators are moving out now. But Crewfinity does have most of the map. Scouts are being sent out to the peripheries, which is really nice. It's not good to have these scouts capping in the middle here, though. Really, they should have been sent around the corner and gone up to the top to cap. But there was obviously the brother captain and the IST there, so really they should have just stuck to capping these 2 points here, which were secure under the line of fire of the tactical marines and devastators. Brother captain is moving down. He can easily type the devastators, but they're just going to retreat to this building. Meanwhile, the brother captain realises that, so he's going to go after the easier target than the tactical marines. We see a power sword on the force commander. I think that's a pretty nice choice. Only costs 20 power, however that's going to help him bleed those IST models even faster, and it's just going to help him do more damage to the strike squad and now the purgation squad, which we see. And of course, even if he didn't go for a purgation squad, the power sword is nice versus the rhino. It's nice versus the interceptors as well. And look, again, we see the scouts now going to the peripheries. That's what you want to do in this map, because the peripheries are further away from the base than the centre, and scouts are speed 6.5, so they should be travelling the longer distances. Devastators are going to try and kill the brother captain, but he's just going to charge straight at them with his We Have the Hammer and tie them up, which is really annoying, but that's what's great about the brother captain. And that's the reason why he's not as good against melee units. If he wrecked melee units as well as being able to do that, he'd be very OP. He's actually getting the Blessed Aegis, which is just a really obvious choice these days. For 100 requisition and 20 power, what it does is insane. The regen is incredible. Meanwhile, though, the Force Commander is having quite a bit of success versus the Strike Squad. Doing some decent damage with that power sword, and he's also getting the Iron Halo. And look at that, he actually killed a model with his plasma pistol. So yeah, it's a pretty nice upgrade. It's that power sword for 120. And don't forget, it also buffs. It makes his battle cry stronger, so that with every special attack that he does, he buffs allied units damage by 15% rather than 10%. We do see, however, obviously both players have now got 3 gens up. They're going to go for those gens after getting their 4th squad. But under the cover of Devastators, these tactical marines have now been upgraded to Flamer and are going after the generators. So, I'm just trying to think, how did Crewfinity get himself in this position where he was? He allowed the tactical marines to get there. Now, on this map, this is a map that's it's well known to be favoured to Space Marines because they can do this. The actual distance from one's base to the enemy's power farm is actually really small because this map is horizontal, so to speak. The victory points you see are laid out in this vertical line, but the gen farms are only a horizontal line. Like, you just have to go across. It's a straight line. The distance from your base to the opponent's gen farm is small. That's very good for races like Space Marines, which have easy access to flamethrowers and very durable flamethrower units. They're very powerful. So anyway, what should Crewfinity have done then? He should have known that there was a risk here for the Space Marines to come flying over and burn down all his generators. He needed to have known that, because that's something that Space Marines always do. And if you remember, he had his 2 IST, his Strike Squad and his Purgation, and he hasn't reinforced the Strike Squad model, which I don't agree with, because it's just decreasing their range DPS quite a lot. He had his Purgation, Strike Squad and 2 IST dealing with his Force Commander over here. That's just not a very good use of resources. He should have conceded the top of the map and came down a bit and tried to protect his farm. I guess he just overlooked that and forgot basically that the tactical marines could get a flamer and probably would get a flamer. He actually also just lost his IST up here to these scouts. That was just poor micro. Obviously he was engaging Space Marines down here, but you know, it's just an unfortunate loss. There's not much you can do to prevent that as such. And again, look at the damage that that plasma pistol is doing. Pretty nice. It's a shame he's derping about now, but yeah. So we see a librarian. I think that's a decent choice, because again, you've got the smite, which is good against heavy infantry, and you've got the power melee, which is good against heavy infantry, and it's just another melee thing to fight Grey Knights with. They have quite good range DPS in tier 1 because of the IST, but the thing is, they don't actually get a dedicated tier 2 unit, and the IST's damage does not get any better in tier 2. So tier 2 melee units can be very good against Grey Knights. Their best counter to that is either countering with the Purifiers, which are basically a melee superiority unit essentially, or getting a vehicle, be that a Rhino with vehicle armor and a heavy bolter, or getting a Dreadnought, probably a melee Dreadnought. But also you could get a Plasma Dev, you could I guess get a Flamer Dreadnought, but you probably shouldn't, because yeah, Flamer Dreadnoughts aren't that good. But yeah, look at that smite, doing pretty good damage. But again, the map control is generally in Crewfinity's favour, and to be honest, I think that's just because the ISC beat the scouts. Oh no, what the hell? I think Libby's gonna die. It did. I'm not sure what happened there. Did he use quickening? I don't know. Should always save quickening for that endpoint. I think he used it earlier. I did see a blue glow on him, but that could have been Veil of Time, but the Libby had just come out, so maybe he didn't even get that. I don't know. That's a really big loss, though, to lose that so early on. IST are not doing anything, but they could be. See, the IST start bleeding a lot in tier 2 as well, so while they're really effective in tier 1, they're not that fast, and they bleed a lot, and don't do that much damage for a tier 2 unit. And nor do scouts. But scouts have knockback, and knockback always scales. They have knockback with their shotguns, that is. And by default, what makes scouts so useful is the fact that they're speed 6.5, so they can avoid bleeding quite a lot. Plus you could get infiltration on them if you really wanted to. We see a plasma gun on the tax. That's... I don't know, I wouldn't have gone for a plasma gun as a purchase yet, not after losing the librarian. And now he's going for sergeants as well. I don't think that's a good idea. He really needs to... Okay, yeah, he cancelled it. He needs to spend a bit more cash in order to defeat this dreadnought, because this is a big problem right now. And obviously he's got a las cannon. That alone is not going to be sufficient. And the dreadnought is a good choice by Crewfinity. I agree with that. Is he going to get the teleporter back? He's already got the teleporter back and the halberd. So he can just tie up this las cannon immediately. So... I don't think... Yeah, he knows he's outside of the range of the plasma cannon, so he's not too fussed about tying that up at the moment. Look how bad the dreadnought's damage is. It's only doing like... What is he doing? I can't even tell. It's about 60 damage or something per hit. Pretty unimpressive. And that las cannon should kill this dreadnought, but yeah, it would have killed the dreadnought if the brother captain didn't do that, but of course it was going to do that. See the Cybolts upgrade on the strike squad, basically just generic range damage increase. And the IST are at it again, capping the map. But he is going to need to commit one of them to repairing this dreadnought now. It took a lot of damage from the FC. If the FC didn't die, that would have been worth it, but of course he did, and that was not worth 250 wreck. Either way though, he's going to have a little bit of time now. Oh wow, that was a lot of damage by that Power Fist. It has really high burst damage, the Power Fist. Its DPS is not incredible, it's good, but not incredible. But its burst damage is pretty incredible. Makes it a very good choice versus things like Orcs and Eldar, just because it bleeds models nearly with every strike. It's doing like 100 damage to the strike squad. Each swing. Pretty impressive. It's gone for a melee dreadnought. I think that's a good idea because of the fact that there's a force commander out, so it's going to give him, obviously it gives him the stun and the knockback, and it gives him melee resist. And I think the purgation upgrade to sight cannons is nice. He needs a bit more damage just to focus down the force commander. Because the force commander has gone for a power fist, so he doesn't have very good anti-melee, and there are two snipers, and there is a plasma attack, and there is a las dev. We've got a lot of range damage here, and not a lot of actual anti-melee. I would actually at the moment try saving up for interceptors. Tier 2 interceptors. Oh, that was a pretty poor loss of the purgation actually. Oh my god. This is also clutch. Wow. Okay, so... What did he just... He lost an IST and his purgation, so now he's only got one IST and he needs to retreat them and just take the dreadnought back to base. However, Vapor lost his las dev as well. But despite that, Crewfinity still has more money. Even though Vapor has had the smaller army, basically. And I mean, I guess that's just because he's had lost the map as Crewfinity. But yeah, at this point I would consider going for interceptors, because all he's got is sniper scouts. And interceptors, even though they've got the delay in their teleport now, they're going to knock over sniper scouts pretty well. And he hasn't got a Thunderhammer Force Commander, so the Force Commander won't do too much to your interceptors. And it doesn't matter if he goes for a Thunderhammer Force Commander, because then there's less pressure on your Dreadnought. So I think that'd be a decent choice. I mean, he wiped the las dev, so really he doesn't need the Teleporter Pack and Blessed Aegis either on his brother captain. I mean, they're always nice accessories, but Canticle plus Interceptors right now would absolutely annihilate Vapor's build. And Vapor is going for a Dreadnought. So this is interesting, because if he got Grey Knight Interceptors, he would have had a snare to deal with this Dreadnought. And then the combination of the Melter Bomb and his own Dreadnought, that would definitely deal with the Grey Knight, the Space Marine Dreadnought. However, that's not a lot of ranged AV, so you would need a Vindicator on top of that. But that's fine. The Vindicator is good. The Vindicator would kill scouts in one shot, I'm pretty sure. He definitely would with target acquired. I don't know if you do that by default, but the Vindy is fine. Wow, so much damage. All the ranged units just fighting this retreat. Lost some model, but it's not too bad. Yeah, and the thing with the interceptors is that their melter bomb is unlike the assault marine melter bomb because it actually acts like a haywire. It not only snares the opposing vehicle's speed, but it also prevents their weapons from firing. It prevents them from using abilities, and so on and so on. So it's pretty nice in that regard. Vapor's actually getting ASM. That's interesting. Yeah, so basically the Grey Knight Interceptor's melter is just way superior to the ASM melter because in Dreadnought to Dreadnought fights, disables the enemy Dreadnought's weapons and does damage and snares. The ASM melter just does damage and snare. So if he got ASMs, give him a melter, and it was the SM Dreadnought versus the Grey Knight Dreadnought, and the Grey Knights had Interceptors, the Grey Knights would win, because the Grey Knight Dreadnought has more HP, and the Interceptor's melter is just way better. However, Crewfinity went tier 3. I wouldn't have done that. I mean, look at the map control now. It's slowly going back in Vapor's hands. I think that's, well, we know that that's really because of the fact that Crewfinity went tier 3, which means he has less units. If he had the Grey Knight Interceptors, he'd have been jumping all over these scouts and snipers, and they would not have the map control that they have at the moment. Man, this Grey Knight Brother Captain just melts Assault Space Marines. They need to get the heck out. They didn't have their sergeant, so Strike Squad do a reasonable amount of damage with their Justicar and their Cyborgs. How much damage is he doing each swing? He's doing 45 damage. And he's doing something similar? I'm not sure what the DPS of the Grey Knight Dreadnought is compared to the SM Dreadnought, but they're much the same. It's definitely going to come down to repair support. Oh, a nice upgrade from the Tactical Marines to a rocket launcher. I mean, that's one of the advantages to Tactical Marines. They had plasma guns, but they could swap out. That's a bit of a fail Emperor's Fist. But yeah, we see Paladins now. Paladins are going to be tough to control. Vapor, I'm not sure why he bought a Sergeant. That seems like a bit of a waste. 25 power and 75 rec, personally. I would have been much more concerned with getting out multiple Dreadnoughts. A Melter Dread and a Melee Dread is very effective against Paladins. The Melter Dread does so much damage, it's just scary. Obviously one Melter Dread is not a good idea because it's just going to die very quickly to the Paladins. You need the Emperor's Fist stun. But he's not too far off a second Dread. He's managed to keep his farm up pretty much all the game. But yeah, the Psy Cannon on those... Oh my god, it killed the Sergeant. What the hell? The Psy Cannon and the Storm Bolters on the Grey Knight Terminators are pretty scary. Oh wow. For the Emperor on the Assault Space Marines, and they wipe out the IST. Now he has no IST. Wait, what? When did... Oh yeah, the Grey Knight Dreadnought died over here in the base. Yeah, so he lost the Grey Knight Dreadnought and he's lost both IST now, so he's got a tiny army. Notice him using the energy sap from the Strike Squad Justicar to lower the energy of the Force Commander and reduce his speed. Bit of an overcommitment here. He should not be fighting with no support. He needs scouts repairing him, and he needs things attacking the Paladins. The Dreadnought will not win one-on-one, so he needs to retreat. Scouts are at it again, capping the peripheries of the map, sending in some sniper support, but Blessed Aegis, man, it just regens half the health. Look, he's barely even lost any health at the end of it by the time he fired that shot. It's probably going to be a dead Dreadnought. That's not good for Vapor. But at the end of the day, there are 251 VPs, 250, and he has the vast majority of the map control and more squads. So it could be very possible for him to win this purely on a map control game, even if he can't win the engagements. That said, the Paladins are pretty low on health right now. They're under half, and these scout snipers are doing their bit. We have another dreadnought coming, however, we're also going to have more Terminators for the Grey Knights coming soon, or potentially a Razorback. I think right now a Razorback would be a really good purchase. I mean, what have they got for AV, the Space Marines? All they have is the Force Commander with the Power Fist. That's never going to catch a Heavy Bolter Rhino, aka a Razorback. And that bleed the scouts, it could deny the map control. Just park a Rhino down here, and he has to dedicate his Force Commander to catching this point, and his missile attacks, because, you know, Force Commander alone isn't going to kill a Rhino. He won't catch it. So yeah, I think a Heavy Bolter Rhino would be quite a nice choice right now. He's going for Terminators. I would have got a Heavy Bolter Rhino and then a Terminator variant. I don't know if I'd have even gone for Grey Knight Terminators, but we'll see. There is a Dreadnought to deal with. That's going to be problematic, and look at this, because he only has 2 squads in his hero, he's just lost the entirety of the map. That's a bit worrying. I don't know if the assault squad choice was a good idea for Vapor. He didn't actually end up getting the Melter Bomb either, so it's not like he even needed it to kill the Grey Knight Dreadnought. I don't know. Level 3 Strike Squad, they're doing well. Killing quite a lot of scouts. Good on them. It'd be nice to have them in the main engagements though. Whittle down that Dreadnought with their side cannon, focus down and snare the Force Commander. But obviously right now he needs them to cap. Which he wouldn't if he had a Razorback. But here we go, the Terminators are going ham in this place. However, they're just flying head on into a Dreadnought Plasma. Are they Plasma attacks yet? Yeah, they're swapped back to the Plasma gun. And Scouts, but they're still winning. And look how much damage that single side cannon does from those Terminators, those Paladins. Quite a lot of damage, that's a little bit scary. Yeah, it really is quite good. But yeah, Scouts going back to the peripheries. This is, you know, classic SM play on this map. Scouts cap peripheries, Tacks go down the middle and burn your gen farm. So Crewfinity at the start definitely should have predicted that Tac Flamer rush to the gen farm and should have dragged all his units here that were fighting the Force Commander back down. But what can he do now? Well, he's going for a Vindicator. I think that's a very good purchase. The Vindicator is your best source of ranged AV, and the Force Commander has an Iron Halo rather than a Teleporter pack, so he's not even going to be able to punish them that much. Although he is now, just as I say that, getting a Teleporter pack. That is going to be very effective against the Vindicator, even more so if he had Alacrity, but he doesn't. Still, like I said, that Power Fist does really good burst damage, so if he teleports near the Vindy, which has got maybe half health or so, he can kill it in one hit on retreat. I'm not sure why he's actually getting the teleporter, because he hasn't seen the Vindicator yet. But it's going to work out for him, so. Also, the ASM are around still. I don't know if they've been a good purchase. They haven't done too much. I'm not even sure they beat the Strike Squad in melee, so I'm not entirely sure why he got them. I mean, I thought maybe he was getting them for the Melter Bomb, but, well, I don't know, he didn't even need the Melter Bomb. Might see some Terminators dying here, yes, from that burst damage. Wow, the Vindicator does too much damage. Force Commander's so busy chasing Terminators, he should actually be tying up with Vindicator so the Dreadnought doesn't die. Is this ability slowing down the Dreadnought? Does that affect vehicles? They had the red debuff under them, so I think it may do. If so, that's bloody amazing. Paladins are very strong now they got that ability. I wonder, do they still provide the health regen that they used to? I haven't played Grey Knights in quite a while, and when I do, I very rarely get to tier 3, so... They could actually just walk into base here. Oh my gosh. He should not be fighting this. He knows there's a Vindicator. That's bad. The brother captain has been his usual self, just killing absolutely everything. Now he's going to slaughter the sergeant. Ouch. But meanwhile, on the exact opposite side of the map, the same thing's happening, but... I mean, it's exactly the same squad. That Marine range squad that you start off with is getting decked by the Space Marine melee hero. That was a bit of an unfortunate loss. He didn't... Well, a bit of an unnecessary loss even. He didn't need to lose that there. But he did. We even see the camouflage upgrade on the Vindicator right now. And we see more Terminators. Oh! When did the Terminators die? I guess when they had 100 health here, the Force Commander must have teleported into base to kill them or something. Well, that's not good for Crewfinity, because he only has 2 units now, plus his hero. But he has the upper hand as far as victory points are concerned. Oh no, I just realised I left this open the whole time. What am I doing?
The enemy is claiming a victory point.
Wow, level 4 plasma attacks. They're gonna bring the pain. Oh, they do have the health regen, I think. He seemed to have the green aura even when he was over here, not in base. Maybe it was just the base, I'm not sure.
I hear you. Go ahead.
Brother Captain's stalling for quite a while. Vindicator... No, sorry. This is... Scouts. Red is Space Marines. Oh, he's dropping a Land Raider Crusader. Well, it's not a bad choice, is it? There's no ranged AV out at the moment. There's only the Melee Dread, which is actually turning into a Melter Dread, so that will be good, but... Melter Dread is alright versus the Land Raider Crusader, but the problem is, there is a Vindicator Assassin, and there are Paladins. And the Melter Dread is not going to do very well against that. Look at the damage that Vindy does. Melter Dread needs to be shooting at the Vindicator and not at the Land Raider Crusader. Oh no, this is not good. Why is he not targeting the Vindicator? He needs to target the Vindicator. Desperately capping the top to stay in this game because he's running out of VPs, 30 VPs. And without the melee resistance, that Melter Dread doesn't stand a chance against the Paladins. Yeah, this is not looking good for Vapor right now. All he can really do is hope to win in the VP game. So what did Vapor do wrong? Well, I mean, the Librarian loss was really unfortunate. I say unfortunate, but I don't mean it was unlucky. I mean, it was really bad play, but still, it was really detrimental to him in this game. That was a really large amount of money that he just wasted on that. If he had spent that on another Dreadnought, or just kept the Librarian alive, that'd have been great. Because he then lost the Devastators, the last devs, to the Brother Captain, and that sent him back loads. If he kept his... wow, my mind just went completely blank. Too busy watching this at the moment to think about back then. Yes, if he kept his Librarian alive, he would have had Veil of Time so that he could move his Devastators away from the Brother Captain and prevent them from dying immediately. Because losing them hurt a lot. Wow, have you seen the state? Oh no! There was no need for those scouts to die there, but I guess he is getting so desperate he needs the cap now, so he's called in a squad of level 1 Tactical Marines. And the Brother Captain teleports off for some reason, I don't know why. He could probably have took those attacks at level 7. He would have. I don't know what the Brother Captain's doing. But yeah, he needed to not lose the Librarian. That was pretty killer. And then I think he got the plasma attacks a little bit early, and obviously He thought so too, because he then swapped them to missile attacks later on. And to be honest, I think his Dreadnought play has been a bit lacking. He seemed to be losing Dreadnoughts a bit too easily. Having them in the centre here and throwing them away, basically, just... I don't know. Just losing them when really it was unnecessary to lose them in that scenario. He'd had 3 Dreadnoughts and they're all gone, and none of them lasted that long. None of them leveled up. So it's not... In that regard, it's not like, oh, Vapor made a really big error in his thinking. It's more, he just couldn't execute what he wanted to. He couldn't do the Dread play. He kept losing his Dreadnoughts. That's the main thing I see here. But at this point, yeah, it's looking pretty bad for Vapor. I mean, he's so desperate. He's just walking all his units forward to the VP, but I'm afraid that's not going to work. I mean, the silly Force Commander just charging at the VP got absolutely battered for that. And rightfully so, the fool. That's not going to work. And now he's going tier 3 even though he has no units and the VPs are going to run out. So he's basically conceded at this point. But yeah, I think the main mistakes really were... Crewfinity's mistakes were not getting a Razorback in the middle of tier 3 when there was no AV out for Vapor except from the missile attacks and the Force Commander. If you make the missile attacks and Force Commander dedicated to hanging around this bottom VP because you keep sending a Razorback around to defend it from his scouts, you know, that's really good. You have pulled his 2 most powerful units down to the bottom of the map away from all these points. What's he going to defend all these points with? Sniper scouts? That's not going to work, is it? So that would have done really well. But personally, I also think that the Crewfinity would have benefited really well from some Grey Knight Interceptors before he went to tier 3. They would just jump the scouts, they would bleed scout models, they would jump the tactical marines and bleed tactical marine models, they would have had the haywire grenade, because it is essentially a haywire grenade even though it's called a melter, to deal with the dreadnoughts. You know, it turned out that it was alright for Crewfinity in the end because the Dreadnought play of Vapor was not up to scratch. He lost them too soon, basically. But if it was a better player, or even just Vapor playing on a better day, that might not have happened, and Crewfinity might have had a lot of trouble dealing with the Dreadnoughts. I mean, he got the Vindicator out, and that's a good move. He will help with the Dreadnoughts a lot. He bleeds the Scouts. That was a nice purchase. But I think Grey Knight Interceptors first, and then the Vindicator, and then tier 3 for Paladins would have been the best bet. Or maybe not even go tier 3, maybe just spam more Dreadnoughts at that point. Because at that point, if you go tier 3, Vapor would probably have been tier 3 as well, and would have got Lightning Claw Terminators. So really, I think Crewfinity just played better in this game. He didn't lose his Dreadnought as early on. He did lose it eventually, but that was... Well, actually, I think he may have lost it before. But either way, Vapor invested more in Dreadnoughts, which he then lost. While Crewfinity did lose his Dreadnought, he didn't invest so much into Dreadnoughts, because he just went tier 3 and got the Terminators. If Vapor didn't lose the Dreadnoughts, then he could have dealt with the Terminators a lot more easily, but I don't know, he didn't. Vapor losing the Librarian was very game-changing, because it then meant he lost the Devastators, which then meant he was dealing with Terminators while only having 4 units himself in tier 2. And that just is not good enough, I'm afraid. 4 units including his hero. And then he got ASM at some point, but the ASM choice was very questionable. They're not going to do a lot to the Strike Squad, they don't do anything to the Brother Captain. They're not going to be useful against the Grey Knight tier 3, the Land Raider Crusader, or the Terminators. ASM don't really do anything against them. And IST were all pretty much dead by the time you got ASM out, I'm pretty sure. So that was an interesting choice, I didn't agree with that. He'd have been better off just getting more Dreadnoughts, and he was floating a lot of power at the end, so... Yeah, he was obviously getting bled a lot, that's why he had so much power. But the only other thing I can say was Crewfinity in the future. Remember on this map that the threat of Space Marine Tactical Marines running over with their flamethrower and burning this gen farm, The threat is real, mate. The threat is real. The distance from base to gen farm is pretty small, and they can just run over here and come down here around the back and burn your gen farm. And with the Devastators coming along with them, if you're not Great Knights, so you don't have the glorious Brother Captain to charge in and deal with the Devastators, that can screw you over pretty hard, because they can get a gen bash off really easily. Then they just retreat, and by the time you get over to bash their gens, you've got Devastators sitting there again, and Tactical Marines, which dominate at ranged. So yeah, he should have been just more aware of that potential threat. After seeing his Brother Captain being forced off around here, he needed to move all of his units down here to deal with potential Tactical Flamers. Instead, he had them all lurking around fighting a Force Commander, which, you know, it just was not the correct move. Sure, you forced a Force Commander off after he killed one Strike Squad model, but you lost 2 generators as well. Unnecessary loss, really. A Force Commander on his own, you know, it's 1 unit. It's not gonna. It doesn't have a lot of capping power compared to 4 units from your side. Just let the Force Commander do his own thing up here and cap. Yeah, that's pretty much it, though. Hope you enjoyed the cast. And goodbye.